So when you're trying to gather data on your audience, you want to ask yourself a series of questions. So what I'm going to do here is answer some of those questions for you so that you can have a sense of how to target me. All right, so what is your relationship to that person? Well, you're my student. What do you know about that person's history? Well, I've told you about my PhD. I got my PhD at NIU in Illinois. I've told you that I have gone to school in Wisconsin. I told you that I lived in Indiana. Remember all of that information I put in that very first lesson. What do you know about my life? I've told you that I've been a teacher. I've told you I've taught secondary ed. I've told you I've taught middle school. Told you I've taught high school, grad school. I've taught school. What do you know about my sense of humor? Well, I have one. That's the most important thing. I have one, and I have I think, pretty decent sense of humor. What do you know about my beliefs? Okay, well, you know a couple of things. You know that as a teacher, I think it's very important to give back. So you know that I believe in personal service. You know that I believe in helping people because I'm a teacher. I mean, depending on when you look at what I'm wearing and depending on whether you recognize what I'm wearing, you might be able to have some other ideas about my beliefs. What is that person's job? Well, I'm a teacher. What is that person's family? Well, I think I've mentioned it, but I have a younger brother, and both of my parents are still alive, and my dad was also a professor, except psychology. What does the person like or dislike? Well, that's pretty easy. When I talk about pet peeves in class or when I make comments about, that's probably something I don't like. Whereas if I get all happy about it, it's probably something I like. So you know I like pit bulls because I talk about my pit bulls all the time. You know that I like coffee and caffeine because I talk about them all the time. You know that I like music because I talk about it. You know I like musicals because I talk about them. Yeah, you know a lot about what I like and I don't like. You know, I don't like bullying because I don't tolerate it in my classroom. You know that I don't like giving up because I don't allow that in my classroom. You know, I don't like hateful behavior because one of the things that I had in my first lesson was about the golden rule. To me, the golden rule is the single most important moral value that anyone can carry in their lives. What kind of language have you heard me use? Okay. So when I'm teaching and or when I'm writing, I tend to be pretty informal. So when you are writing to me, especially in the attention getter or so what, you can use slightly more informal language. What kind of things does this person talk about? Well, I talk about a little bit of everything. I'm not going to lie. So I talk mostly about what we're talking about in class, but I'll also talk about food. I'll talk about what's going on in culture. I'll make comments about that kind of stuff. So what you need to be doing is listening to what I'm saying about myself. Because when you target an audience, they're not going to just sit there and do what I'm doing here and run down the list. You need to be brainstorming and thinking about who they are and what's important to them. I hope this helps. Bye for now.